Tandem Nomads, episode 296.
Making choices in your life and taking action with intention, because when you can do those things, you get that true empowerment.
And welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and resources to grow a successful portable business that is aligned with your lifestyle and your priorities. This is your host, Emel Teregi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. Today, I have the great honor to have one of my longstanding client that has been go through the whole range of steps that I've been developing through Tandem Nomads, and it's been amazing to watch her grow. And I'm very honored to have her here because she's going to share with us her journey of what she learned through her business growth and her also personal growth. So Emily Rogers, Emily, are you ready for this ride?
Absolutely. Bring it on, Emel.
Thank you for willing to be here and share your journey working together, but also what you learned as a solo entrepreneur and most importantly, as a mamapreneur, right? How to make sure to juggle all of that and still reach our goals. So, but before we go that, all of you who are listening, this is not the first time of Emily on the podcast show. She's been already before on the podcast sharing her journey. As I always say, entrepreneurship is a journey. And there's so much personal development that goes with our business development. So we're going to cover that as well. I will share your episode in the show notes where you talk about how you started for those who want to dig deeper into it. But could you just give us a little bit of an overview of that journey, how it started actually from the moment you thought, okay, I want to have a business and to where you are now? What is that journey looking like?
If anyone goes back and listens, a lot's changed, except my twang accent. We'd been living in Asia for 10 years and moving every 2 years. My husband's in hotels, and I did everything I could in most of those moves. I had a career. I couldn't continue my career. I volunteered. I did all the usual things that we do. And I got to a point where I couldn't give anymore. I needed something in return. And I made the decision that I would do something different. And there was a blog post by Lucille Abaddon, and she shared the 5 reasons why, as an expat, you should be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And it was just a light bulb moment for me. And serendipity, we just moved from China to Taiwan, and I had access to social media again, so I could find Tandem Nomads from her link on Facebook, and I found UML, and I started doing the Business Idea Accelerator. And that was back coming up 4 years ago, I think. Over 4 years, 4.5 years ago. And I knew I wanted to create my own business. Lucille's post and then learning about you, I knew I wanted to do something. I just had no idea what that was. But the process took me from, I used to joke and call it my 0 to hero. Mm-hmm. I had no idea, but I ended with a prototype, and I tested my business concept, and my original business, Expat Parenting Abroad, was born. And then it's morphed and changed since then into the Leap to Lead.
It has completely transformed. So you had no idea. Then you came up with this idea out of this program called the Business Idea Accelerator. And then you launched your business. I remember you were testing it. And then once you launched the pilot, you had the green light to go ahead. So what has changed since you built Expat Parenting Abroad? What has changed since?
I started doing it really simply. I was literally running WhatsApp groups, support groups for mums who were living their lives in transition. And actually that core program is still a part of my business today. So I haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. But I think I have learned so much about myself, and I've learned so much, especially in the last 12 months, in terms of the one-on-one work we've done, about who I am and where my personal power sits and how I can use that to empower my clients and really support them to live their best life and get them to where they want to be. And the support groups were the foundation of that. And I learned a lot through those support groups to a point where now I work primarily one-on-one with clients. I work with corporates, and I have online courses. So I've got a bit of a mixed bag, but the journey has been primarily, I think, personal growth, and the business has worked alongside of that. And just learning so much about myself.
in few words, if I had to describe you, it's like you're an award-winning actually transition and leadership coach, and you help women who want to take this next step in their career and their lives to help them get clarity what they want and build the action plan to get there. But you also work with companies and organizations to help them support their employees through leadership and leading a team, but also transitioning abroad when they have to. So this is pretty an amazing change compared to expat parenting abroad. And now your business is called
The Leap to Lead.
The Leap to Lead. So you're all about owning basically your leadership skills and bringing those leadership skills to your clients.
I think it's key in terms of the journey is understanding those leaders that we have within us all. And I think too often, and especially when we're, and I'm going to use it, it's the wrong language, when we're a trailing spouse, we lose all of that. And knowing that we've got leadership within ourselves, whether we continue to be a stay-at-home mum and focus on our hobbies, or whether we want to return to work or start our own business, there are so many things we can do, but finding that inner leader in ourselves, I think is so core, hence the leap to lead, that ownership and growth. From women who I often have a free clarity session with someone before I start working with them. And I don't always work with women, but that's my true passion, is empowering women. I have male clients as well. But, you know, women who turn up in tears because they really don't know what to do next, you know, that they've been accidental careerists. They've ended up in admin roles because that suited their lifestyle. And now they're feeling lost. They don't want to give any more of that. And what do they do? How do they find their way forward? Women who've been, you know, at home as mums, dabbling on the side with part-time work, but go, actually, I don't want to run my own business. I want to do something for myself here that gives me the freedom and the flexibility to support my family, but gives me meaning and purpose as well. And then I've got other clients. It is about getting the balance right. And yes, they're working, and yes, they've got a family, but how do they have their hobbies and their own interests as part of their lives as well? I think the core is people feel lost, and finding themselves and getting that clarity helps them to take that, as I said at the start, intentional action to empower their lives. And I think that's the core of what I'm able to do with people.
You ran your business for a while, and then a year ago you came to me for this new program called the Business Growth Accelerator, which is my one-on-one coaching program for 1 year, 3 months, or 6 months, depends on the situation. So could you remember what happened a year ago, what got you to actually hop on the call with me and discuss whether it would work together?
And I don't think I'm unique in this space, but there comes a point where everything feels hard work. Mm-hmm. You feel frustrated. You can put in effort and you can follow all the books and all the webinars and all the podcasts, and you know you're doing it, but it's just not working. It feels hard, it's frustrating, and you're not getting the results. And that was certainly me. And I had a choice to make. Did I go back into my corporate HR career? We're now living in New Zealand, so I could do that. Or do I figure out what's not working and find the right way forward? And for me, one's a soulless option that would mean I wouldn't spend any time with my now teen daughters. And the other gives me the freedom and the flexibility, because we will move again. You know, this is not a permanent situation. At some stage we will get moved again. So it gives me the freedom and flexibility and the portability to continue my life no matter what happens next. And so, as I said at the start, it's about a conscious choice. And I didn't make that choice easily or lightly. It was a bit of soul searching and a lot of talks with my husband. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it was, I looked at lots of different options of, do I do another course? And I didn't feel that they were going to give me what I needed. What I did was reach out to UML to say, are you taking clients? Mm-hmm. Is this an option? Can we talk about it more? Because I feel stuck, and I knew that you would be able to get me unstuck. So it was that moment. And then I'm going to say it without crying. My dad on the last few weeks said to me, it's not working, Em. You've got to do something different. And he encouraged me to have that conversation with you. And I'd already sort of got there in my own head, but he really got me over the line. So, yeah.
God bless his soul.
I'm not
And
crying. That's not happening.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I've got goosebumps all over. And one other thing that we shared as well along this year is that we both lost our fathers while
Yeah.
working on our business. And so I know how hard it is. And I want to say how thankful and grateful I am to him for encouraging you to actually put yourself first,
Yeah.
right? He was really after that. And I think that's a big
Yeah, he
conversation
was.
that I want to have with you today about that decision,
Yeah.
because you said it was not an easy decision for many reasons. First of all,
Oh,
you had that pressure of probably needing to go back to work, but at the same
yeah.
time it felt like you didn't want to because it meant that you would have less time for your daughters. But at the same time, for you,
Yeah.
your financial independence and making money, let's say it as it is important to you, that I
Yeah.
know, right? But to
Yeah.
be able to make that leap of faith, what did you need to do to actually say, I'm ready to invest in myself to make this happen and trust that it will work?
It's funny. I trusted you implicitly, Amel. It was
Thank you.
more about the guilt that I felt
Mm.
that the family had to make this financial commitment. And, you know, we came out of Taipei to New Zealand right at the start of the pandemic. We were on pay cuts for a long time. You know, I say we, my husband was the one working.
Mm.
He was on pay cuts. But, you know, it it was a family decision, and I had to put that shitty guilt aside. I had to build myself to a point where I could have that conversation openly and honestly with my husband and ask him to take a leap of faith in me and to really see where the potential was. And I've got a wonderful business buddy, Wick, and she said, do a spreadsheet. So I did a spreadsheet for him. And said, if I go and get a job and I take out parking and, you know, childcare and, you know, I did all the lists of all the extras, you know, getting online groceries delivered, the extra costs versus the potential of what I imagined I'd be able to do in my business. And I presented that to him and said, if we as a family invest in my coaching, I believe this is what we will have as an outcome. And it was not easy. It was a very difficult conversation. I think I cried more that day than I probably, no, I have cried more, but I cried a lot. But, you know, it was hard because I think, and I'm not, I know I'm not alone. We feel guilty. We feel guilty when we want to do something for ourselves. We feel guilty, and I'm talking for women here. We feel guilty when we want to put ourselves first as a priority. If I was thinking about my kids doing something, investing that money, it'd be a no-brainer because it's for their future.
Right.
But we feel guilty wanting to invest in our own future, and that is just so wrong. So it was getting over that guilt and being brave and putting together a spreadsheet and having that conversation with my husband.
Well, this guilt, you really put the finger on this big topic that a lot of women experience when it's about investing in their growth. There must have been something that helped you realize that it was guilt that you were dealing with and how to actually free yourself from that feeling of guilt.
I don't know if I'm completely free of that guilt, to be honest, Amel. I think it's something that you work on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm managing it better. Certainly now I can get really clear about it now. But I think for me, it's about trying to find that perspective and your dad's words to me and knowing and trusting you and what you're able to do. And, you know, I said to Scott, I have to do this. I've got to give this another chance because I know I can do this. I know the potential's there. You know, the world is just starting to open up again. I know I can do this. I just don't know how to. And I need someone to help me with the how. And actually, once I did have the conversation with him, he was really supportive. And, you know, he enabled me to make that investment. He did it. You know, he's got the keys to the security tags for the bank account. He literally had to do it for me. So, but yeah, I don't think we're ever over that guilt completely. I think it's something we have to learn to manage, and I feel I'm managing it well now. But I think it's something that it's a reality check for all of us. And if we can't put some reason and rationale behind it, like if this was about the house, or if this was about the kids, or if this was about our parents, there'd be no hesitation. And we need to be able to say, actually, I need this for myself.
I think self-worth is what stops a lot of mothers who have spent their whole life caring for others, because their whole self-worth is based on others. And suddenly to
Yeah.
have to shift the self-worth on us, I think it's a big
Yeah.
shift, right? But although this is a question I wanted to ask you later, maybe this is the right time, because it's connected, to ask you about why it mattered to you to actually do it. Why is it so important for you to have your own business and to succeed and do it?
Oh, that's such a big question, Amel. For starters, I want that freedom and flexibility. I want to be able to choose how I work and when I work, which provides a financial freedom as well. There are so many of us today that want that for ourselves, and I'm no different. I want that. I don't want to be in a soulless corporate job. And there's nothing wrong with people who love their corporate jobs, but for me,
Yeah.
I'd outgrown that space in my life. I'd done it. I'd got to the top ranks. I'd had enough, and I didn't want to go back to that. And that was a clear choice. But more than that, and I think the thing that really drives me is thinking about, as a woman, as a mother, what kind of role model am I to my kids? And what am I showing them that I can do and that they could potentially consider? And if I'm giving up, then does that mean they don't have to go and do swimming sports? Does that mean they don't have to try in that test? Does that mean they don't have to give it a go to make new friends? Like, if we wouldn't allow our kids to do that. We encourage them all the time. We have to do that for ourselves as well. And I think if I think about my big why, it is freedom, flexibility, finances, but also that role model piece. And I think that's probably the absolute core of everything for me.
Through the ups and downs, I was just amazed to see you be so resilient through the process, and starting having clients and growing throughout this process despite the ups and downs. So this is really amazing.
The cheerleaders are important, and if you're out there and you are trying to do this alone and you're trying to do it without involving your family, then you need to start rethinking that, because you need those cheerleaders, you need that support. You can't do it on your own.
From the moment the first session, I think we realized something big and led us to make a huge decision, which is completely pivoting your business.
One question. The first question you asked me, Amel, what have you been doing and what do you want to do?
And that's it. And the outcome of that was pretty big. It's like, you need to completely change the business and rebrand. It's not even just branding, it's actually changing your whole business model and the target audience and everything. So can you take us through what happened for you during that moment, and what shifted in your head?
I think I was in a unique opportunity because I'm Australian, but I'd lived in New Zealand before, and we were living in New Zealand again, and I'd been asked to do things that weren't run in the support groups, and I'd been asked to step up and provide support elsewhere for clients I'd worked with previously, and I was doing all this stuff, but I wasn't thinking about it in terms of my business. I was like, oh, that's my old hat. I'm doing some executive coaching with a new GM. That's my old hat. Like I couldn't get my head around what that meant for me and my business. And when you ask that question, what have you been doing and what do you want to do? I'm like, oh, yeah, I actually really like the stuff that's not in my business. And so how do I make that part of it? And I guess it was more of a leaning into what I was being called on to do, and understanding that actually that is a strength of mine, and not trying to stick with something that, yes, I'm good at, but actually I can get more working with people in these other spaces. And I think understanding that for myself, and you've got to have that clarity when you're in your business. And I think the frustration I mentioned, where I'd got to, feeling frustrated and angry and everything was hard, I think it was because I was trying to force it into a certain space, and I didn't have the clarity that actually these are my strengths. And I think that initial work we did together to understand where do my strengths sit was so utterly powerful, and that pivoted everything for me.
That's amazing. And it's just amazing. For me, alignment, you talk a lot about not making things hard. And I love that about what you're saying, because a lot of people think that things have to be hard in order to succeed. And therefore, we don't have the bandwidth to make things hard. So we just don't do it. Right. And for me, this is the living proof how actually things are not hard when we are aligned. And that was what was missing.
Yeah.
It was hard before, it was working, not the
Yeah.
way you wanted it to work, but it felt
Yeah.
hard at first because you were not aligned. And from the moment
Yeah.
you got into this path, it feels like you're totally aligned.
As soon as I came up with the new business name and said, this is what I'm going to do, I signed my first client
Isn't
like
that
that.
amazing?
Like,
Right.
and she on one of my biggest packages. Like, it was like, and then it just started, like, as soon as I had that clarity, as soon as I was living in alignment, it all started falling into place. And you're right. We too often we say it's too hard, and we choose, because it's a choice, we choose not to do anything about it. And
Right.
feeling hard, feeling frustrated just means you need to shift something. Something's not quite right. And usually you need someone like yourself or a third party to ask the right questions to help you find that. It's very hard to do that soul searching on your own. But if you've got someone trusted that can ask the questions, you have these aha moments. Oh my God, these are my strengths. This is what I should be doing. And with that alignment comes that flow. And you and I have talked about, living in flow and having that understanding of this is where I'm going, and it works, and it really truly works.
That is just amazing to see you thrive in that position, right? Where clients actually come in and it's not feeling hard. However, throughout that journey, a lot of things happened. A lot of things
Yes.
in your life, in my life, but that's where we shared a lot of ups and downs. But one of the things that I always admire is that you do have two teens in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of loss, and a lot of life challenging moments that happened along the way.
Yeah.
But you never gave
Yeah.
up. You never, and I always was like, how are you doing this? Because that's one of the things that I was really impressed with. So anything you can share with us to help those who are going through these challenges in life not give up on their business and still be able to, you did the work. I would always ask you to do certain things and you would come to the session
Yeah.
prepared and ready. And that's something I
Yes.
really want to tell you how amazing it is, because it's not easy. So what made you be able to commit despite all the crazy stuff that were happening in your life?
I don't want to dilute it. I mean, it was insane. The stuff that was going on in my life was insane. But at the same time, having my business and having my clients gave me a sense of sanity, of space, of being able to step out of that grief, to be able to step out of, the endless lockdowns, and, to be able to step out of the challenges and have something to focus on, was a bit of sanity. It was a bit of a relief, and it was a bit of an escape for me as well. So I plan. I'm always planning. I'm always thinking ahead. I mean, I'm looking up behind my computer. I've got calendars everywhere for different things. Like, I'm always thinking ahead. It comes from wanting to prioritize my family. It comes from wanting to make them the reason. They are the reason I do everything, but making them first. So if I don't plan, then I miss important things for the girls, or I'm not there for Scott when he needs me, or if I don't plan, everything becomes chaos. So even through challenges, I would sit down, I would work out, well, what do I need to do next? What's the next thing I need to do? I've got to-do lists. I'm a very physical person. I've got a physical diary, a physical to-do list, working out what I need to do next. So I finish each day and I plan the next day before I log off. I finish the week and I plan the next week before I log off. So when I sit down, I'm not wasting time. I'm not mindlessly thinking about where I need to start. I know what I need to do. And so my time is very effective. And I think I've said to you before, I don't believe in working long hours, and I don't work long hours. So I make sure the time I do work is productive and is effective. And I'm not saying I don't have bad days. There are days that I actually can't think clearly because I've been up all night with the kids, or someone's sick or something else has happened. And so I go easy on myself those days and then push harder on the days where I am feeling good and I am feeling aligned. And I think when you're dealing with grief, when you're dealing with family challenges, when you're dealing with all these other things, you've got to be able to balance it so you can, put the brakes on a bit and go easy on yourself, and then you can really push the accelerator down and work hard and be really productive. And I think if you can plan and you know what's going on and you know where your priorities are, then you've got that flexibility. I mean, we had 3 massive weather events in the last 3 weeks, and the final one being a cyclone that's devastated New Zealand. And my heart goes out to everyone in the Hawke's Bay. But, I had a big audio summit planned for February. And I was looking at my diary at the end of October. I thought, the start of the school year is usually a bit up and down. I think I might do that and record it all now in November and have it all done, all the social media scheduled, everything set up before I take my holiday at Christmas time. And it meant I put a bit of extra pressure on myself at the end of the year. And there's a few friends I didn't manage to catch up with because of that. But it meant when we started the school year and the school flooded and it was closed, and then the girls were online learning, and then, we lost power because of what, I actually kept going, and I didn't have to stress because I'd already planned what needed to happen. And so I could spend time with the girls and support them in understanding what was going on and the loss of life and the damage to properties and when they were scared, because I'd planned and I could pull those levers for myself as I needed to.
I love that. And I've seen it throughout the process, how you actually were always planning ahead so that you can have a leeway if something unpredictable happened. And that's basically your strategy, planning ahead, but also not overthinking. I think that's the bigger thing. Whenever I ask you to do something, you just do it and not get too caught up into overthinking of how I'm going to do it and the technical issues. And you're like, I'll figure it out. I'll do it. And if it doesn't have to be perfect, right? And I think we both
I'm a complete finisher. I'm not a perfectionist.
Right. And because you are comfortable with it and you see how, you're laughing about it. And I love it because I'm like, yes, because of that, you're able to actually not overthink and be very, very fast at executing, and hence not even work a lot of hours. Like how many hours do you think that you work per week?
Ideally, I work a 4-day week, and I sit down at my desk at 9 o'clock in the morning and I work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 days a week, whatever, however many hours that is. I don't know. And Amel, that's one thing you and I talked about. I went on a business retreat again with my biz buddy, Wick. She was running a retreat for business owners. And I went on that retreat and all of those women were burnt out. They'd been working weekends, they'd been working nights, they'd been compromising their family time. They were angry with their businesses, and this was early on when we started working together. And I came back and I met with you the next week and I said, that's not why I'm here. What do I need to do differently? Because I'm not working on my business to end up like that.
I love it.
You turned around and said to me, take control of it. And so you gave me the tools that I needed to say, well, if I'm going to work a 4-day week and I'm going to get everything done, how do I set myself up for that? What needs to be in my diary? How do I fit my clients in around what I need to be doing to grow my business? And you gave me those tools to make that happen for myself. And that's what I use now. So I should know how many hours I work every week off the top of my head. But I picture it in terms of this template that you've given me, because I've got the colors there, and because it's color coded, I can see what I'm doing for myself. I can see what I'm doing for my family. I can see what I'm doing for my clients, and I can see what I'm doing to grow my business. And I can see visually if I've got the balance right. So
that's amazing. I love it. So let's talk more about the business now. What are the things that you've learned through the process and implemented to be able to be where you are today?
I did Business Idea Accelerator. So I had an overview of what I needed to do. And you and I had worked together to get my first business launched. And again, I kind of knew the bits and pieces, and I downloaded your 3 C's and I was working on that. And, I kind of had all the basic bones right. But what I didn't understand was some of those little intricacies of the sales and marketing, and, where the power really comes from in terms of the planning. So yes, I had ideas of what I needed to do, but how does that actually line up with when you then open your doors? And how does it line up with then what you want to achieve, with your corporate clients? Or how does it line up with where you want to go? What are you doing about, and you're still always pushing me on this, but, speaking engagement, this is what you need to be doing. If you don't have the understanding of what that looks like, which I didn't have prior, then it's a lot of effort and energy in a mishmash way. And I think I had bare bones, I had the skeleton, but I didn't have the body around it to really be able to grow my business. And I think the one thing I'm utterly grateful for is having that complete picture now of, yes, the first part was getting clarity and alignment in myself and, repositioning my business, but then understanding how I can theme things to bring it through into a launch, into and then that can feed into this other next step. And then how I didn't understand how that worked. And I think I'm really grateful to see that full picture now. And, I know what I'm doing in March and in April. Like, I know what that looks like. And so when it comes down to content, I can bang it out pretty quickly. And I'm not perfect. I know that. But, it's meeting the needs, and it's working in a system now. That's the word I want. It's a system now, where it was all ad hoc before. I've got the systems in place now.
Yeah. Once you got the strategy, then the next step was to build the system that works for you. And I think that's the important part. Like, no, there's, in my case, I never have like two clients who do things the same way, even if they're in the same line of job. And it's about making it work for you. And what I love about you is that you did embrace the whole idea of keeping things simple and effective to be able to do as much. And honestly, from outside, it can feel like you're working all the time, but actually you're delivering a lot, but not working a lot. Yeah. And that's amazing. And let's not forget, you're not only doing marketing and selling your business right now, you're actually coaching clients, because you did get a lot of clients. And so actually tell us more about what came out at the end from the other side as results for you.
It's been amazing, that being able to turn people's lives around and get these outcomes for them. I had a client, we worked together and we've achieved amazing things for her in the leadership space. She got to the pinnacle of her career and she's like, actually, let's go back and let's change careers now. I'm like, okay.
Like, amazing.
But to give them the power in their lives to say, well, now I've made it to the top, I want to do something else. Again, without guilt, without questioning yourself, but with complete clarity. And I love being able to do that. What that means is, having consistent client base, having consistent revenue. And I did this calculation for you, because I know people, when I talk to people, they always want to know, well, what does that actually mean? And my revenue growth has, since the launch, so not 12 months yet, but since the launch, the revenue growth has been 185%.
Amazing. Wow.
And I'm paying myself consistently every month, and I'm putting aside my profit every month, and I'm putting aside my tax I'm doing everything I aspired to when we started working together, and it feels good.
I love it. I love it, Emily. I'm so happy for you. And I always say, you get out what you put in. And I think I'm really proud and honored to have been able to support you. But I have to say it to those who are listening, you get out what you put in. And you have been committed. That's the thing, despite all the things that happen to get these results. Because alone, I can't do that if the people are not, committed. And you are applying what you're helping your clients with, right? You are helping your clients to be that committed to themselves. And I see you doing it for yourself. So you are walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So I love watching that. It's just mind blowing.
You've got to be intentional in your actions. You've got to make that choice to empower yourself. And if you can do that, then literally the world is your oyster. And you need someone asking the right questions. You need that party with you, supporting you, asking the questions and guiding you. And that strategy and those systems that came after, they have given me the growth. But it's just working out what it is that's keeping you frustrated and what's hard, and getting that flow.
Wow, what a wonderful way to summarize that. And the whole journey has just been amazing to watch you, Emily. So thank you for sharing it with us. Before we say goodbye, I would love to know what's happening next for you, and anything you'd like to share about, your business and where to find you.
So I am theleaptolead.com is my website. On social, the Leap to Lead. So my most popular package is the Vision Lab, where if you're feeling that something you're not living your dreams, you're not living the life you want, whether you want to return to work, whether it's about your hobbies or whether it's about your career. And the Vision Lab is a 3-month coaching program taking you from getting clarity through to taking action. And that's my most popular package that I do with women. And then I have the leadership coaching that I do with corporates, as well as the transition lab for families that are moving, which was my original baby.
Yes, exactly. And you managed to incorporate it as well in what you do today. This is amazing. So, Emily, thank you for the true honor of allowing me to be part of your journey and to be here and share it with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Amel. I say it to you, I know, but I am so grateful for everything that you've taught me and shared with me. And I did say to you one time, what is it that I don't know? What do I need to know that I don't know to ask? And you looked at me and you said, but it's a journey. If I told you everything, you wouldn't get the journey. And it was so true. And I am really embracing the journey. And it has challenges, but I'm embracing it and I'm loving it. So thank you so much.
Oh, my true pleasure. So, Nomad Nation, I hope you enjoyed listening to Emily's story. And if you are interested in working with me, reach out. I'll be putting in the show notes the link to be able to schedule an introduction call, a free introduction call, to let me know about what are your needs. And we'll see if that's the good fit for you. Don't hesitate to reach out. And I will also put all the information of Emily in the show notes of this episode. Go to tandemnomads.com/296. Make sure to reach out to her if you need anything, especially if you're looking at making a change in your life and looking for clarity. She's the person to go to, so don't hesitate. And can't wait, Nomad Nation, to meet you. Stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.